Hello, my name is Sarah. I am an English teacher and language anxiety coach. And in this video, I want to talk about me as a teacher. So kind of how I approach teaching and what maybe makes my teaching methods a little bit different from most other language teachers, I would say. So I have been teaching now for almost 20 years. So I started off in Thailand where I was backpacking and traveling, and really, I didn't really want to be a teacher. I was just spending too much money. And so I needed to find a job where I could stay in Thailand and still experience being a traveler, but also have some income. And teaching English was kind of the obvious thing to do. And I remember my first teaching job in a high school just on the outskirts of Bangkok. And yeah, I didn't know what I was doing. I had classes of about 50 students. The students on the whole were not really that motivated to do anything. So mostly the students were sleeping. And just, I don't know, tried to do something vaguely helpful, but I don't think it really was very helpful at all. And so this kind of continued. I did a little bit of training in Thailand and ended up in Thailand for 18 months almost teaching. Then I went to South Korea and I taught in a girls' middle school in Korea. And then I came back to the UK and did my first kind of proper teaching qualification. I taught here for a bit and then I wanted to go traveling again. So I left the UK and ended up in China, where I stayed and taught in a university for 3 years. While I was there, while I was in China, I also did the diploma in English language teaching. And then I did come back to the UK and I worked in a language school here in Brighton for altogether about 3 years in different language schools here. And since then, I've really been teaching online and working on building up my own teaching business. So far, so normal. This is quite a normal kind of journey for a native speaker English teacher. Um, but I've also been really interested for a very long time, for really all my adult life, which is quite a long time, um, in thinking, in our thinking patterns, in our beliefs, in psychology. That's where I started off. But now I'm really interested in our mindsets and our beliefs and how those impact on our actions and therefore our achievements and our successes. And a couple of years ago, when coronavirus just hit and we were in lockdown, I started to train as a coach. So in 2020, I did my NLP foundation, I did my NLP diploma, something else, and I also did a coaching diploma. And although in a way I don't really work as a pure coach, those qualifications and that training have massively changed the way I teach. So if I asked you, or you might like to think about it, what is a teacher and what does a teacher do? What is the purpose of a teacher? And I think we have this kind of traditional model whereby we have some students or we have a student and then we have a teacher. And the teacher has got information which they need to give to the students. So in this case, we could think of the teacher as being like a cup of water, and she needs to, or he needs to give that water to the students to fill them up with information. So in this model, the students are quite passive. They don't really need to do very much because they are waiting to get information from the teacher. And if we think about kind of mainstream education, we go to school and we have to pass exams, and so the teachers have to teach us stuff so that we can pass these exams. Whether we want to do them or not is irrelevant. we have to do them. And so we need this information and we have to kind of take it in and remember it and then do the exam. And if you're anything like me, the day the exam is over, the information departs from your brain, never to be seen again. I had to study trigonometry. I remember nothing about maths at all. So this is the teacher, right? The teacher is the information, the source of power. They've got a higher status because they're the teacher, and the students are just kind of waiting to be taught. Now, a coaching model is completely different. A coaching model, a pure coaching model, assumes that the client already has everything that they need. They just need maybe some help, some support in uncovering this information or in organizing this information or in kind of processing the information. But they don't need the coach to give them the information because they already have it inside. So this is very interesting. A coach in kind of a pure coaching model shouldn't really give advice. They shouldn't really give their opinion. The coach's job is really to support their client to discover for themselves what they actually need and want. So this is massively different from teaching. We've got this teacher who's got the information and the power and the control as well. And then on the other hand, we've got a coach whose job is really to facilitate their client in uncovering their own potential. So for me as a teacher slash coach, this has brought about quite a lot of change in the way that I now teach. And I've got a really good example that happened this week, in fact. So I have a new student, lovely, lovely student. And we've been talking about what they want to do and goals and stuff like that. And the student said to me, well, I think what I want to do is work for FCE. I think I want to get all of my skills to B2 level. Now, as I said, I've been teaching for coming up to 20 years, so I know what level someone speaking is pretty soon after I have a conversation with them. And I'm listening to this student and I'm thinking, FCE is at least one level too easy for you. Now, as a teacher, I would probably say to the student, I don't think you should do FCE. I think you should go away and look at CAE. I think you should do this because I've got the information and I give it to the student. The danger with doing this is that the student won't believe me because I've given them information which conflicts with their idea of themselves. And even if that student did go away and start working for CAE, is a very strong chance that they would carry a lot of doubt because they wouldn't be agreeing with me that they're really at C1 level. So I said, okay, that's a good idea. I'm going to send you some links for some past papers and you can go away and do some FCE tests, do the reading, do the listening and use of English, and we'll do some speaking together. And then we'll see if FCE is right for you or not. Oh, and you might get a surprise when you do these tests. And that's all I said. And the student went away, they did the reading, listening, use of English, we did some FCE speaking, and they came back to me the next week and said, well, I got almost full marks for my reading. I got almost full marks for my listening, and I nearly got an A for my use of English. And I'd scored him at B2 for his speaking. So I said, well, that's very interesting. But what do you want to do now? And he said, well, now C1 is achievable for me. I can see that now. So I'm going to work for C1. And I see what you mean that I would get a surprise. So I love that story because it's such a good example of the difference between coaching and teaching. I could have told him my opinion and I could have said, go away and do C1. But I knew that if I said that to him, he might not believe me, he might not want to do it, and he might just think, you know what, I'm just going to do some general English. But because that student went away and made their own discovery, their understanding of themselves and their English is completely different to what it was 1 week before. So now for me as a teacher, obviously there are times when I do need to give advice. If someone's written an essay and there's a lot of problems in it, there are times when I need to kind of point those problems out. Of course, I have to listen and give feedback on speaking. So it's not that my kind of expertise is not needed anymore, but I'm always looking for ways that I can help people uncover their own strengths and their own potential. And for me now, this is something which I really want to continue with. Next month, which is February 2022, I'm starting a new training, which I'm super excited about. And this one is training to be a thinking environment facilitator. So this is just the first course, it's the foundation course, but basically the thinking environment is about creating a space for people where they really have time to think and process information. That means not interrupting people, not giving them all the information, but again, really allowing that change to take place within the person. So I'm really excited to be doing that. If you have any questions or any comments about this video, about the differences perhaps between teaching and coaching, perhaps you'd like to argue against me, perhaps you think, no, teachers should give information to their students because that's their job, then please, I'd love to hear from you. My name is Sarah. I am an English teacher and language anxiety coach, and thank you so much for watching this video.